Hello, my name is Nico Punt, and in this video I'm come to demonstrate the exporting and importing of patient cases and population models. So what are the applications of starting patient cases? Well, first, you can share them with your colleagues, of course, but you can also share population models with your colleagues, and you can move patient cases between databases. And if you're going to share patient cases with your colleagues, is of course that you select a data format which is anonymized. So where is this done? Well, you can either export a patient from the history screen or from the extract screen. And I'm going to demonstrate this now to you. So let me log in to the MwPharm application. So what I can do is if I load a patient here, test E, it will take me to the medication history screen. And here I can select for the export option. So I select export. And I just use the default name. The default name consists of the the patient name and the patient number, I must say, and the model name of the drug. So I say save, and now I export this. But you can also do this from the extract screen. So if I go here to the extract screen, and I can look for the same patient. Here it is, test E. And I can select this patient by clicking toggle. I click extracts, and then the patient will be exported to this folder. So the extract screen is typically used for exporting a larger number of data for further analysis in the KIMPOP population analysis module. But you can also use it to save different patients. And if you select multiple patients, you can bulk export them, and I will come to that later again. So that's about the importing of patients, exporting of patients. Now going to show you how we can import those patients again. And of course, it does then three things. First, it adds a new patient record. Second, it adds a new drug record, but only if it's not present. And it adds a new population model record. So an imported patient's name and number, and a drug name and a model name, they are all postfixed with a tilde in order to mark them as temporary records. And this is just because we want to prevent that you overwrite your existing data. So where is this done? This is done in the patient screen. So let's demonstrate this. So I go to the patient screen, and I can now select here import. And here is the file I just exported. So I select here import. I open it. And you now see it's imported right here. So I have a duplicate here, but now the number and the name are postfixed with a tilde, just to be sure that you don't overwrite the data. And if I click here load, you will see it's identical data. So I can remove it here. But if I look now in the case screen, you see that the population model that belongs to this patient case is also added to the database, and also it's added here as with a postfix with a tilde, just to be sure. And of course then in the case name itself there's also a tilde added. But because the gentamicin drug record was already present in the database, it simply reused that entry. Alright, so what if you just want to import a new population model? So let's say that this gentamicin population model represents a new type of population model. We can then also import it directly without having to import the complete case. Let me show that. So as I said, if you import the patient case, the used population model will be imported as well, automatically. So you don't have to do anything for it. But as I said, you can also import only the population model for a particular drug. So we simply have to select the drug in the case screen and select on import model. So we're going to demonstrate this here. So I'm going back here and I say here now import. And I will look for the this particular case, and I have to go up a little bit. I have to look here. I know it's in the plugins directory, MwPharm cases. There it is. I select this one, and it's already it says that it already sees this population model, and it will override it. So we don't want that, of course. So how can we prevent this? So I will select cancel right here, and I will tell you in the next slides how we can prevent this. So I just has this one. So this the name of the patient, the drug, and the model. We can change them directly in the EDX file. So if we look in the EDX file, we have to look for these entries. So we have to look in the applications section, MwPharm data, and there are two subsections, the drug and the patient subsection. So if you look at the drug name subsection, it says here gentamicin. And you can ignore this one. This is the original one. This is the translated name. And this is the name of the model, which is also gentamicin. And here you see the name of the patient and the number of the patients. So, and these patient name and number appear in the patient list. The drug name appears in the drug list, and this name is used in the model list, but it's appended often with the number of compartments. So here it would be the number you see in the model list would be gentamicin C1. So let's see if we can modify the model name in order to prevent the overwriting of the existing population model. So I will simply start the Explorer, and I will look for the file. So let me move it on screen right here. So I look in MediWare, MwPharm, plugins, MwPharm cases. So there it is. And now I edit this, and I look for this entry I just told you about. So here's this. Drug name gentamicin, that's okay. Model name gentamicin, and that's not okay because it would override my existing population model. I don't want that. So I will simply change this to my gentamicin, like this. Don't use spaces, just use underscores. And if I know it was a different compartment system, I can change the number of compartments here, but I also know this is a one compartment system. So I save this model, close this, and import again. So I have to go up a little bit, go to the plugins directory, MwPharm cases. And you see now it's added as my gentamicin. So it's very handy if you can if you can access the EDX file directly and change the model name in order to prevent overwriting an existing population model. Okay, let's continue with another subject, and that's about the bulk export of data to Excel. So you can export a large number of patients in one go, and for each patient an EDX file, an AdSim EDX file will be generated containing all the data. And this is typically used for using KinPop++. But in addition to these EDX files, also an Excel workbook is created, which also contains all these patient data. And this Excel workbook can then be used again to bulk import the data back again, for instance, into a different database, or if you exchange this with a colleague. So how does it work? So I go here to the extract screen, and I look at some patients. Let me see. Yeah, for instance, I want to export all these patients which are marked NPEM, because they are a subset of patients where I did a study with a tobramycin ICU population. So I reset the selection, and then I can, with the spacebar, I can actually, and the cursor key, I can select these patients. Okay, and now I can click the extract button, and the data will end up here. MwPharm datasets default. I can change this, of course, if I select here, and I will say, okay, no, I will use a new folder. So I will say make new folder, and I say my data. Okay. And now it should be, now I will extract it. I say extract. And the data have been extracted to my data. And I can directly go there by clicking the explore button. And it will bring up the file manager. And you can see that for each patient entry, this EDX file has been generated. But you also see here is an Excel file. And this Excel file contains also the data in a particular format. And I'm going to demonstrate now how this format looks like. Because we can then, as I told, use this to bulk import patients from Excel again. So, it's important that if you bulk import large number of patients from an Excel workbook, it is assumed that the data refer to one drug, and the model to be used must be selected in the case screen. So you have an Excel workbook, and it has to have two sheets. One sheet is the patient identification sheet, we call the index sheet, which also contains the time invariant data. And the other workbook which is important is the data worksheet, which contains the medication history, so all the time variant data. And in the example workbook we have supplied to you, there is also a note sheet which contains the format instructions. So this is done in the case screen. So, but let's have a look at the Excel worksheet itself. So this is how the index worksheet looks like. So very important, you have the ID here and the name and things like gender, date of birth, body height, body weight, and so on. And it's important that you have the correct unit on the second row here. So this is how the index worksheet looks like. And this is how the data worksheet should look like. So again, we reuse the ID here. And then for a particular date and time, we either have a dose or we have observations like here. So this is how it works. Okay, so how do we do this in MwPharm? Let me go to the patient screen again. I will delete this one. So I will delete this patient. So we have a clean setup. So what I said, you have to go to the case screen, and we have to select the data, the model we want to use. Let me remove this model. I'm not going to use it anyway. So, and also this model, delete. So let's say, well, it's about ICU patient. So what I will do is I will select the ICU model. I say import, and then I select here the Excel file. And I go to my directory again. So it's a MwPharm, MwPharm, let me see, the plugins, MwPharm, cases, and it's not here. That's interesting. Well, and then I've simply picked it up from the models directory because I have an example right there. Where is it? MwPharm, patients. Right there, this tobramycin workbook, and I open it. So now they are all imported. So if I look here in the medication screen, you see here are the originals, and here are the imported data again. So this is how I can then in bulk import the data. So in summary, about import. So if you import a patient, you do this in the patient screen, and you automatically get the patient record, the drug record, and the model record. But usually the drug record is already there. And if you have a conflict with the model name, I showed you how you can directly manipulate the name in the EDX file so that this conflict is resolved. But if you don't want to import a complete patient case but only the model, you do this in the case screen, where you can then, for a particular drug, add a new population model, as I showed you. And finally, I showed you how you can bulk import patients, for that you have to use an existing drug and existing model record, so they are not created, but the patient records will be created automatically. So this finalizes this video. Thank you very much for your attention.